Good morning, good day, friends. I hope you're doing really well. This is Tracy Brown, and my team and I help people make peace with food, body, and feel safer in their bodies in general. So that's what we're here to do, and we thank you so much for coming and watching our videos, sharing them with your friends, and just helping people to encourage them on the next step. Because the step one obviously is recognizing there's a problem, right? If you recognize that the way you're eating is incongruent with your values, it makes you feel like your whole life is wrapped up around what you're eating and what you look like and what people think of you. If you recognize those things are a problem, step two is obviously not dieting and dismantling the diet culture stuff within you. But a lot of times there's a lot of sneaky things inside that hijack us. So in today's video, we're really going to talk about separating the reality of using food restriction, binging, over-exercise, even over-functioning, not keeping emotional and energetic boundaries, with your emotions and other people's. There's the reality of doing that versus the counterfeit. And when I say counterfeit, meaning, there's these lies, really, these beliefs that if I do these behaviors, I'll feel better. And the reality is, when I've talked to thousands of people, and when I help them unpack an experience of food restriction or binging or over-exercise or neglecting needs, whatever it is they're doing, there's never oh man, this is great. I'm living my best life here. It's, the reality is I feel less bad. I feel less jumpy in my system, or I feel less foggy and checked out. I feel less sad. Because all we're really doing when we do any of these behaviors is shift our nervous system state. We shift ourselves out of either an emotional state or a fight, flight, freeze, or please state. And so what we have to look out for is the movies that we've been programmed, because sometimes people can even tell that they're feeling not so great inside, and maybe they don't even want to restrict or binge, but they can't get themselves to stop. And one of the things I want us to talk about, so I got a little list here, is start to catch your movies. The romantic is like a romantic comedy. Catch your movies about I know diets don't really work, but maybe I'll feel better in my body if I just cut back a little bit, eat less carbs, whatever. And the reality is you've already done that once or 100 times or 1,000,000 times, whatever it is. And did you ever really get to the root of the issue? And did you ever really get lasting, when I say results, I mean, people in our culture think of results as weight loss. They don't really look at the consequences of that. So what we're really trying to do is look at, okay, so if I try to shift my nervous system state, get myself out of threat, move myself away from emotions or anything, memories, whatever, or circumstances that feel uncomfortable. One, you're recapitulating that you're going to get abandoned, basically. Your experience is not going to be met and seen. And that's a consequence, right, of this. It recapitulates all that relational trauma. But basically, I'm looking at my list here, is that there's this programmed fake reality that if you lose the weight or do the whatever thing, that everything will be great. It's you've got this that thin or that more muscular or whatever version of yourself in a movie. I call it the catch the tape, catch the movie, where life is perfect. You got no problems. Everybody loves you. All the things, and we know that's a fantasy, because people who are in smaller bodies also have adversity in life. Hard things happen, challenging things happen, bad things happen. So it's not a guarantee of everything. Now, are there some things I know that if you lost weight, you would probably pretty quickly and temporarily get a lot of praise from people. But that's not going to last. Not only because the weight loss doesn't last, but also just because it would be kind of strange if every single time you saw the same people that you typically would see in your sphere, like your work, your family, and they constantly talked about your body. The reality is that starts to make you actually invisible. like you're not really a person, you're just a body to comment on. And it starts to erode that like little hit of yummy that we're missing inside. Validation, mostly love, feeling worth something. That starts to fade really quickly. Okay, and again, that's one of that's the counterfeit, to the fantasy movie, right? So that's step one, is start to catch that movie. And two is just recognize that those old thoughts don't die hard, that you might have 10 or 50 years of programming that says the thin is always better, and that the end justifies the means and means justify the end, and vice versa. So that diet part in your head will constantly make you try to think that what you're doing is okay. It makes you feel better. And we have to contend with that, and that's why the parts work is so powerful, is to recognize that's not who you are, that's not your character, that's not your identity. This is a part that thinks it's helping you with your uncomfortable emotions and sensations and earthing, I call it, being on this planet, right? And it's always about anticipation of the good. It will always be like, this will be good for you, it'll be healthy, people will think you're powerful or disciplined or strong-willed or whatever. It's always anticipation of the good and denial of the bad, right? Always. That's kind of how diet culture works, is that they're totally in their marketing denying that there are physical, mental, emotional, even spiritual consequences to their program. They don't care. They just want you to buy it, right? All right, so you have to get really clear about the motives of pushing that so hard too. I think lastly is just recognizing that all of this is a setup. It's a setup to make you feel like you can't do it and nothing works and you'll never get better and there's something like wrong about you, when the reality is like this whole thing is a program set up for you to fail in the first place. And the only thing that gets you out of it is being willing to see like, wow, I'm going to have to get mad and I'm going to have to grieve that I was totally deceived, and the wounds in me played a part in getting deceived, and the only way out is like I've got to get out of the denial, that one more diet's going to fix anything, one more trip to the store to get food that you won't let yourself have, to eat it all and get it out of the house and get it over with as soon as possible, is going to soothe or solve that problem permanently. Okay, so I hope this video was helpful, just to help you get some clarity about maybe where you're feeling a little stuck, where you're feeling triggered. And if you need help, please reach out. I'll put our links below that you can reach out to us and get some clarity about your own situation. I'm happy to chat with you. And again, I love to give people some feedback about like what they're struggling with, how it makes sense, and here are the options, right? So that you don't have to live this kind of whack-a-mole kind of life with your food, your body, and your emotions. So thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate you so much. If you felt this was helpful, then share it with your friends, people you know that need some encouragement, that need some loving but truthful kind of like in a little bit in your face, like don't let yourself be lied to anymore. Don't abandon yourself. So thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.